Hi guys, I'm live again. The plane's going above. Let's let it go by, please. Anyway, this is a different topic than I just talked about. It's different, but I mentioned it like the other day. I'd like to talk about uh, relativity and quantum mechanics and how that might relate to time and space. Okay, can you guys see me? Okay. Um, anyway, Einstein's theory um, made space and time a continuum, made it um, space time. There's no space and there's no time independent of the other. There's only space time. Time and space are related. Um, he, it turns out that the faster you move through space, the slower time goes for you. And in fact, according to Einstein's theory, if you were to travel the speed of light, time would stop for you. There'd be no passage of time if you kept moving at the speed of light. Of course, that's hard to accomplish since that's 186,000 miles per second, and also because very few things can travel the speed of light. And there's another plane. Sorry. In fact, according to Einstein's theory, once you travel at the speed of light, you will always travel at the speed of light. You can't decelerate back down to less than the speed of light. And by reverse, if you are not traveling the speed of light, you cannot accelerate to the speed of light. At least in his theory, that's how it worked. And that if you ever could somehow accelerate to the speed of light, time would stop for you. Um, but that also means that people like me that walk, I move all the time. I walk like 9 hours a day. And all that time I'm walking, by definition, I'm walking through space, so time travels slower for me, which helps keep me younger looking and youthful. I have a feeling. And I've been walking since the late 80s. I've been walking since I was like, I've been walking as a actual daily activity since, since I was like 20 years old. So, um, the time might be moving slower for me than might have already been moving slower for me the last 30 years than for most people. Um, so that there's that, and then there's also in theories of time, there's also ideas about the past, present, and future, kind of um, kind of all coexisting at once. I'm not sure I completely understand all that. They think of it like a picture, and there's a two-dimensional picture that has everything that's going on right now as a snapshot in time. And who who's to say that our past and present isn't already with us? Only that we only perceive the illusion of the present right now. And then who's to say that if the future already is included in now, who's to say that the future isn't already set and that we basically have no free will and basically we're just flipping through a page in a book that's already been written? That's the relativity side. That's the large scale galaxies, gravity, black holes. That scale of the universe. That's the theory. That at least in Einstein's day, that was the theory. But then there's the quantum level. There's the microscopic side. There's protons, electrons, neutrons, things that are very small, and the science for that is called quantum mechanics, which I think came out similar to the same time as relativity did, just by different people. And quantum mechanics kind of doesn't cooperate well with relativity. The reason they call it quantum mechanics, why do they call it that? Quantum means amount or level. And the thing about subatomic particles, subatomic particles don't move through space gradually. They simply go from one state to another, higher or lower, instantaneously. So they can be here and there and never have been in between, and be here and from here to and then there within zero time, and never having traveled there. They just appear. They just change states instantaneously, they change to a certain level. That's a certain quantity of that, whatever's being that level is, which is why it got called quantum mechanics. So quantum mechanics literally uh, disproves a lot of our normal everyday and even relativity thinking, but yet may be true as well. So that hence the need and the quest for a unified field theory, or field theory of everything, to finally combine these two discrepancies, that seem to be both true but never quite, always mutually contradicting each other or not cooperating with each other. And in the case of time, once again, it still doesn't cooperate, because, like I said before, we're talking about relativity versions of time. Well, from a macro concept, maybe time has already been, the future's already been written, but from the microscopic, from the quantum mechanics time scale, nothing can be predicted. You, nothing can be like foretold for the future, because there's the Heisenberg uncertainty principle, for one thing. The Heisen, and incidentally, interestingly, Walter White in Breaking Bad took the name Heisenberg. That's the same dude we're talking about. Heisenberg uncertainty principle basically says that for subatomic particles, you can know you can know where a particle is, but have no idea where it's going, or you can know where a particle is going and have absolutely no idea where it is. And you can, and there's only like there's only like uh, um, uh, uh, a scale between those two uncertainties, a spectrum, I should say, a spectrum between knowing absolute position and not knowing anything about velocity and momentum, or knowing velocity and momentum and absolutely, but not knowing anything about position. You can't know where a particle is and where it's moving at the same time, according to quantum mechanics, and this brings in a lot of fact that you can't predict the future. Then, if we're made up of atoms and protons, electrons, and neutrons that it can't be predicted, or measured, then we by definition can't be, our futures can't be pre-written, or can't be preordained, because even in the present there's random things happening that can't be predicted, that will affect the future. So then there's the idea that maybe the past and the present may have been set, but the future is still being written by random processes of quantum mechanics, along with the effect of the our on our level too, like the fact that we make decisions and stuff like that. Before I stop though, I want to say an interesting anecdote to the fact that the Heisenberg uncertainty principle, but applied to something we can experience in everyday life. Take thought, for instance, THOUGHT, our thinking process. Imagine your thinking process is like a subatomic particle. You you can know exactly what you're thinking, but not know what your trend of thought is, or you can know exactly what your trend of thought is and don't know what you're thinking. Try that; it's actually true. You can't know what you're thinking right now and where you're going with it at the same time. You can only know either what you know now and have the trend of thought be just random, or you can know your trend of thought and not know what you're thinking right now. Try it; it's true. I can be thinking of red, blue, but see, I knew I was thinking of red, but I didn't know I was going to say blue because I didn't know the momentum. Or I can be thinking Trump is a good silver. See, I was the gist of my thinking was Donald Trump and whatever he has to do with that. But then I said silver. I, I, I what? Maybe this is a better example. If that's what I'm thinking, I'm going, okay, Donald Trump's a good guy. but I don't know what I'm thinking about him. I just know that the gist of my thought is Donald Trump is a good guy. But when I was doing that, I didn't know exactly what I was thinking at that moment. I didn't know if I was thinking of his hair, his family. I don't know. I don't know. But I knew the gist. I knew the trend was to go toward Donald Trump. You know, that was my trend of thought, but I didn't know what I was thinking. And then on the other hand, I can say I know exactly what I'm thinking, but not know what my trend of thought is, not know what I'm going to think next. And similar, it's a similar model as for subatomic particles, but with respect to position and velocity or momentum. Um, Momentum is just which direction a particle is going and how fast. So which corresponds to trend of thought. And then position of the type of particle corresponds to what thought I'm having. And so the Heisenberg uncertainty principle means that the future can't be set if random things are happening while we live. It has to have some randomness to it. So, but nobody can understand the whole thing put together. Nobody can understand how relativity can be true for the big things and how quantum mechanics can be true for the little things, and yet they contradict each other and nobody can put the whole thing together. And hence this is what the holy grail of the unified field theory has been about. um, my guess is my best guess is we'll make machines to figure out the unified field theory in maybe 30 years, maybe in 30 years, or maybe less, but I'll say 30. um, our AGI, artificial general intelligence. That's when we have robots that actually are indistinguishable from us and yet better than us, smarter than us, and all that. Maybe some robot, some artificial AGI being will figure it out in a few years, 30 years or so. Maybe there's that. I'm just having my fingers crossed. I can do this with the left hand because I'm a guitar player, but I can't do it with my right because I don't finger the notes with my right hand. I finger with my left. So with my left hand, I can do simultaneous, unaided finger crossing, and I can't do it with my right hand. I'm just hoping that the unified field theory even exists, so that there will be an answer someday. Because I would hate. I'm less concerned about us not having the answer than I am of there not being an answer. I want there to be an answer because I'm a scientist at heart, and I'm a truth seeker at heart, and I like to know that there's a truth that can be found in any given endeavor. So anyway, hope you guys enjoyed my little spiel. I wanted to do this a few days ago, but I wasn't up for it. I had to process the thought, so I knew what I was going to say. I love you guys. Peace, rock and roll.